On a quiet Wednesday evening in Atlanta, tragedy struck the world of heavy metal. The city streets, usually filled with the sound of engines roaring and music echoing from passing cars, became the stage for the sudden and devastating loss of one of the genre's most distinctive guitarists. William Brent Hinds, co-founder and former guitarist of Mastodon, was killed in a motorcycle accident. He was only 51 years old. For fans, friends, and fellow musicians, the news hit like a thunderclap. It wasn't just the end of a life, it was the end of a voice, a sound, and a presence that had defined an era of heavy metal. Atlanta police later confirmed that Hinds was riding his Harley Davidson motorcycle when tragedy unfolded. At the busy intersection of Memorial Drive and Boulevard, a BMW SUV attempted to make a turn but failed to yield. The SUV collided directly with Hinds' bike, throwing him to the ground. Witnesses described the crash as violent and sudden. By the time first responders arrived, Hinds was unresponsive. Despite efforts at the scene, he was pronounced dead shortly afterward. The Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office confirmed his identity later that night, and by morning the world knew. Brent Hinds, the fiery guitarist who had defined Mastodon's sound for nearly 25 years, was gone. To understand why this news rattled the music community so profoundly, one must revisit the extraordinary journey of Brent Hinds. Born in 1974 in the small city of Helena, Alabama, Hinds' musical roots were anything but ordinary. While many future rock guitarists started out mimicking hard rock riffs, Hinds' earliest instrument was the banjo. That twangy, complex, southern sound would shape the way he played guitar for the rest of his life. When he eventually transitioned to electric guitar, he brought with him a finger-picking style and an ear for unusual progressions that set him apart from other metal musicians. In the late 1990s, Hinds left Alabama for Atlanta, a city buzzing with underground music and creative experimentation. There, he met bassist Troy Sanders, guitarist Bill Kelleher, and drummer Brandaler. Together, the four musicians forged something new, a band that didn't quite fit neatly into the heavy metal template of the time. By 2000, Mastodon was born. The group quickly earned a reputation as one of the most innovative forces in metal, blending sludge, doom, prog rock, and even elements of punk and southern rock into their music. Their unorthodox approach was polarizing at first, but it soon caught fire among fans seeking something deeper than the genre's cliches. Hinds was the engine behind much of that creativity. His guitar tone-thick, distorted, yet strangely melodic, became Mastodon's signature. Critics often described his riffs as feral yet precise, and fans knew when Brent was on stage, the music could take on a life of its own. His dual role as both guitarist and vocalist gave him even greater influence in shaping the band's identity. Mastodon's second album, Leviathan 2004, is still regarded as one of the most ambitious metal albums of the 21st century, earning widespread acclaim for its conceptual storytelling and sonic daring. By the time they released Crack the Sky in 2009, Mastodon had secured its place among the most respected bands in modern rock, playing major festivals and touring the globe. But Hinds was not just an architect of sound, he was a complicated personality, known for his honesty, his humor, and at times his volatility. Hinds was both loved and feared by fans and peers alike. His rawness gave him authenticity in an industry often defined by pretense. While Mastodon collected Grammy nominations and mainstream recognition, Hinds kept himself grounded in the chaos of creativity. He was often described as a restless spirit, someone who couldn't stop making music, no matter the context. That restless spirit, however, also led to conflicts. In March 2025, Mastodon shocked the music world by announcing that after 25 years together, they had mutually decided to part ways with Hinds. The band issued a polite statement thanking him for his contributions and wishing him success in his future endeavors. But Hinds' response painted a different picture. Taking to social media, he claimed he had been removed against his will, describing his bandmates in unflattering terms and accusing them of betrayal. Fans were divided. Some supported Hinds, while others sided with the band. What was undeniable was that the split marked the end of an era. Mastodon without Brent Hinds felt almost unthinkable. Even after leaving the group he had built from the ground up, Hinds refused to slow down. True to his nature, he threw himself into other musical projects. Earlier in the summer of 2025, he toured Europe alongside blues rocker Marcus King, showcasing not only his metal chops, but also his love for blues and southern roots. His performances were praised for their energy and emotional power, proving that even outside Mastodon, Hinds could captivate audiences. Friends often said that music was his lifeblood. As long as he could play, he was alive. The news of his death spread rapidly on social media, first whispered in posts and then confirmed through tributes. One of the earliest came from Tool guitarist Adam Jones, who shared a heartfelt Instagram message honoring Hinds' memory. Soon after, fans began posting clips of his legendary live solos, remembering the man who could silence a crowd with a single riff or ignite chaos with a screaming lead. For many, it was surreal. Brent Hinds, who seemed larger than life, was suddenly gone. As the music world tried to process the shock, questions arose about his legacy for Mastodon. The loss was particularly heavy, although they had parted ways. Earlier in the year, the band's history was inseparable from Hinds' influence. Every one of their 8 studio albums up to 2021's Hushed and Grim bore his mark. His contributions weren't just technical, they were emotional, shaping the very soul of the band. Even their March statement, issued before his passing, acknowledged how much they owed to his creativity. Now, with his death, that legacy is sealed. But Hinds' story is also a reminder of the fragility of life. He was known for his love of motorcycles, often photographed riding his Harley Davidson, a machine that gave him freedom and adrenaline. It was fitting for his personality, loud, powerful, and unafraid of risk, that the very passion he loved most became the instrument of his death is a cruel irony, one that adds a haunting layer to his story. In the days following his passing, tributes poured in from across the music spectrum. Fellow musicians remembered him as a force of nature. Fans recalled the nights they saw him shred live, and journalists wrote long retrospectives on his impact. What stood out in all of these was a shared recognition Brent Hinds was not replaceable. His style, his personality, his approach to music, these were things that could never be duplicated. For those closest to him, the pain is immeasurable. Friends spoke of his humor, his warmth, and his unpredictability, while his bandmates have not yet issued a formal statement since his death. It is clear they are grappling with the loss of someone who was not just a collaborator, but a brother in arms for over 2 decades. For fans, the grief is also deeply personal. Hinds' music provided soundtracks to their lives, and his riffs were burned into their memories. As the investigation into the accident continues, many are left with unanswered questions. Was it simply a case of a careless driver, or could it have been prevented? For now, all that remains is the harsh reality. Brent Hinds is gone, and with him a piece of modern metal history. Yet perhaps the truest way to honor him is not with mourning alone, but with music. To play Leviathan loud, to revisit the haunting melodies of Crack the Sky, to feel the raw energy of Blood Mountain, or the melancholy beauty of Hushed and Grim. Brent Hinds lives on in every note he recorded, every riff that fans will replay for generations to come. His death may have silenced his voice, but his guitar will never stop speaking. In the end, Brent Hinds' life was a reflection of the very music he created, unpredictable, heavy, emotional, and unforgettable. He was a southern boy who picked up a banjo and ended up changing the sound of modern metal. He clashed, he created, he inspired, and now he leaves behind a legacy carved into the very foundation of the genre. The roads of Atlanta may be quieter, without the roar of his Harley, but the world of music will never stop echoing with the sound of his strings. Brent Hinds, gone at 51, but immortal in every chord.